Hello, this is Jason McManus with BIS. Today I'm going to be showing you a short presentation on how to leverage Grouper to connect to a box environment and add some classification levels to files and some metadata as well. So in this particular use case, our goal is to get the files conditioned to a point where the box governance package could be applied to them. So in today's demonstration, you'll notice that I am already logged into Box and I have a folder called Documents. If I open up this folder, we just have a bunch of random PDF files in this folder. We don't have any foldering levels. We don't have any document types. We have no metadata associated with these particular files. It's just designed to look like a fairly random assortment of business documents. If we were to open up some of these files, you'll notice that we've got several different file formats in here. So this is a master service agreement, the first one that we pulled up here. If we look at this file here, it should be a loan packet, application for an auto loan, I believe. And you'll also notice that we've got some sensitive data enabled on this particular document. So we've got a social security number and we've got a date of birth. So during our process, we're going to look for these things and correct some of these issues. And we'll pull up one more file type. So here we have a sales quote. And you'll see in the demonstration we have quite a few different document types. So our goal is to take these files and move them over to this folder I have here called contracts. And I'm going to open it up just to show you that it's completely blank right now. So we want to analyze each file. We're going to look at it and understand what the document type is, create a folder level for that, find out who the file is associated with, either a vendor name or an individual name, create a folder level for that, and then also populate a number of metadata fields. So all of this is going to be going on in our Grouper platform. So now we're over at Grouper looking at a batch that I just ran through, and you can see here the different activities that we applied. These go through a couple different phases. So these first three activities are what we call conditioning phases. So we import the files in from Box, and then we go through this content action, which takes any multi-page PDFs or files that need to be split out into single pages for whatever reason and applies that. Image processing looks at files if they're image based and can do cleanup, despeckle, deskew. We've got a number of image processing profiles that we built within Grouper, so we can clean those up. OCR applies our patent pending synthetic OCR process to these images. Non-image based files like Word documents and Excel spreadsheets won't have to go through any of these processes, but these are just strictly for non-text searchable PDF files, TIFF images, things of that nature. So we apply this patent pending process to go through and collect the best possible data off these images. Then our classify step starts our organization phase. So we're going to look at the content within these files, look at word pairings, patterns, and flows. We also can use a visual approach and look for actual characteristics of the document visually to classify them. And then we also have a rules-based approach that we can apply here. After we identify what the document is, we then can go through and extract our key metadata elements. We then can go through and redact sensitive data elements by looking for patterns and flows again in the document to identify those strings and key features near them so that we can find socials and dates of birth. And then we release that information into Box. And we'll show you what this looks like, and we'll go through a little bit more detail about that in just a second. But before I walk through that, I wanted to show you how simple it was to set up our connections into Box. So we come over here to our CMIS connections. I can click on I called it Box New, and it was very, very simple. I literally only had to go put this Box user ID in. Box makes it very easy to integrate with their application. So in this particular case, I didn't have to put in a database name, a URL link, a username, and a password, and other things. I just literally had to put in this key. Once I do that, it exposes all my metadata templates, and this is where I can come in and do my mappings. So this is where I came in and mapped my fields that I was extracting and pulling out of the system and ran through Grouper. So we can trigger this process manually. We can have it running as a service, and when we go pull files from Box, we can have them set up so that we only filter through certain file names, certain document types, certain extension types. It's all configurable within Grouper. So here, if we come into our all files area of Box, we move this into this contracts folder, which was completely empty earlier. Now you'll notice that we have file folders by doc type. So as we processed those files, we classified them. So we ended up with these document types: invoice, loan packet, MSA, NDA, quote, sales order, and statement of work. So if we were to look into our invoices folder, the next level of foldering that we applied, and all these folder levels are also embedded in the metadata. So the next level was either a company name or an individual name. So here we have invoices for Enid parts and standard products. So if I open up my Enid parts, I see a PDF file in there. Now, probably in a production environment, we would name this by maybe the invoice number or invoice number PO number or something of that nature, something to make it unique at this folder level. But here we just called it the doc type, which was invoice.pdf. I can open that file up, and you'll notice when I'm viewing the file, I can hit my metadata tab, and I can see that this is an Enid parts invoice, that PII is false, and we'll talk about that in a second. Confidentiality is false, we'll talk about that in a second. And that this document type or contract type is what I called it within Box is invoice. So all our metadata fields are applied, and we can populate as many metadata fields as we need to. We can collect all these data elements off the document. Anything you can see visually, we can collect off of it when we process it in Grouper and populate in a metadata template within Box. So let's go back a level and let's look at a different document type. So we'll just go all the way up to our contracts level. Let's go look at our non-disclosure agreement this time. So here we have 3 that we found when we processed that folder of random documents from Box. We've got a Globex Corp, an Initech, and a Standard Industries folder. So let's go open up our Globex folder. Notice we again just used our doc type as our file name. And as we open this up, we'll notice that we do indeed have a confidentiality agreement here in NDA for Globex. If I click on my metadata, you'll notice that there's my name, PII is marked as false, but confidential is marked as true. So what we're doing in this case is we're scanning these contracts for specific clause types. So we can train Grouper not only to find data elements, but actual clauses within files, and either extract them or flag a metadata field. So in this particular case, we found a confidentiality clause or section within this file. If we go back, let's go all the way back up a level. Let's look at the loan packets real quick. So here we've got Emma and Felicity. So again, our folder level, in this case, it wasn't a company name, it was an individual name we used to create that folder level. Pull up our loan packet. And our metadata, again, will be populated. So we've got Emma's name. In this case, PII was marked true because we found sensitive data in here. And we can use these index fields as metadata template to go query these files and just search for all our files that have true PII if we wanted to. And we could have migrated this to a different location within Box if we wanted. You'll also notice that when I get to the PII data, we had Grouper redact that sensitive data off of this document. It's an option. We could just leave it exposed but migrate it to a more secure folder if we wanted to. There's a number of things that we can do. But in this demo, we just went ahead and deleted those off. And we actually delete the text from within the file as well. So let's go back up one more level. Just look at one more document type just so you can see a couple of different items. So we got a statement of work. Same thing, when we get to the next folder level, we populated those folders by the company names that we extracted. So we've got one SOW for Standard Industries. We open it up. There we go. And we've got our customer name, PII is false, confidential is false, and there's our contract type. So now we've organized the files, we've collected our metadata, we've got a proper foldering structure, and if we wanted to apply additional security or governance to these files, we have the ability to do so. So that's my presentation for today. I thank you for your time. I hope it was worth it.